Okay, I'm going to make the no-knead bread. So we're going to start with 3 cups of bread flour. This is unbleached bread flour. And because it's so dry here, the altitude is pretty high. I found it a little bit better to put a little bit of heaping cups of bread flour. And with that, I'm going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of instant yeast. It's not very much. And salt. Whatever you do, don't forget the salt. So the recipe calls for 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but I found that I like it with about 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt a little better. And so mix those dry ingredients together. And then I'm going to add 1 5/8 cups warm water. This is going to make kind of a sticky dough, but not too sticky. There you go. Kind of gathers up until it makes. If you leave it too sticky, it's going to sit overnight for 12 to 18 hours. So don't let it be too sticky or it'll turn to almost a liquidy dough. This looks like it's going to be a little bit too wet. Add just a little bit more flour. See if I can get it to still be a wet dough, but not too wet. It's starting to come together in a ball. Picking up all that extra flour off of the bottom. Seems like it's getting to be about the right texture. Just finish the dough here with my hand. Still pretty sticky. It's kind of sticking to my fingers, but it is taking the shape of dough. I'll put just a tiny bit more. And that feels soft, but not runny, not gooey. It's still a soft dough, but not gooey. So now all there is to do is leave it in this bowl overnight. I'm going to cover it with plastic or a wet towel, whichever one you have handy. I'm going to leave it out, sit on the counter now for 12 to 18 hours. See you in the morning. Okay, so I get the flour from last night, the mix, the dough. Take looks like it raised up, put it on about 7 o'clock. So about 14 hours. Okay, I'm going to put a bunch of dough or flour on my board, my cutting board. This is kind of a sticky dough, so you have to make sure you get a lot of flour. Rub it in on this board really well. First time I made it was really sticky. And I figured this out. Just get it nice. Then I get a towel that I cover with a lot of this flour. because I'm going to need something to put over the top of it. I'm going to rub this towel in a lot of this flour too. It seems to kind of shake out, but at least you get some in there. I'm kind of setting that aside. One of that flour rubbed all over in that towel. My grandma used to have one that was always covered in flour from years of bread making. She couldn't get the flour out of it. Open. Get my big bowl out. Okay. Scrape it out. I tried to do this with my hands, but it gets all over your hands. I found this scraper works pretty good. Bowl's heavy. Okay. Since this is called no knead bread, you're just supposed to fold it over a couple of times, but it's pretty sticky dough, so I'm gonna put a little. So to just fold it into fourths like this. If it's real sticky, I do a little bit more. Then I rub the flour on the board. I take my flour covered towel and just lay it over for 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes are up. So the flour's just dough's had a little time to rest. And that's all you do is just wake up the dough. So now you pick up the bread. If it sticks too much, just use your spatula and scrape it off. And now you're going to kind of stretch it around. I like to give it not a kneading, but shaping. Make sure I've got a nice good flour on the board, just like before. It's kind of messy on the bottom, but now I'm going to just put it in a ball like this. Kind of tuck the edges around. Get my floured towel. Again, make sure it's got lots of nice flour on it. It's going to sit for 2 hours before it goes in the oven. Okay, I have preheated my oven to 450 degrees, and it's about 30 minutes before the bread is ready to go in. I want to put in my Dutch oven, covered Dutch oven, into the oven for it to preheat before I put the dough in. Once it comes up to temperature to 450, it's time to go. Okay, 2 hours are up. I'll cover my dough. And my oven is heated up to 450 degrees. So I've got to get the, it's very hot, so be careful. Woo! A little smoking going on there. I'll sprinkle just a little bit of flour in the bottom. Now I'm going to take the dough off the board and turn it upside down. I place it in the hot Dutch oven. Put those back on. Put the lid on. Set the timer for 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes are up. We're going to remove the lid, put a little olive oil on the top, and let it brown. Let's see what we've got. Ooh, that looks pretty. Going to sprinkle a little bit of olive oil on. The crust, this is browned up pretty nicely. Probably won't have to give it too much time. Take my brush, brush it on there a little bit. You could put it in for another 15 minutes to brown. It looks like this won't need quite that long. I set it for 5 minutes more and then I'll take a look. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I think it's plenty done. Let's have a look. Oh, beautiful. Take a look at that. Let's get it out. Let's have a look. Ooh, looks delicious. Looks so good, I want to cut into it right now, but wait for at least 10 or 15 minutes before you cut into it, so it has a chance to just cool down a little bit. Can't wait to try it. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I just can't wait much longer. Let's see if I can cut a piece. Let's see how we did. There we go. Looks so pretty. Looks so good. Smells delicious.